mean, so do the YA protagonists. They all have problems. That's why they're trilogies, usually.
Honestly, I wish I had an Octavia to look up to when I was like 12, so 12, 13. You know?
Yeah, but you got, what, Katniss Everdeen at the time?
No, I was older than that.
I was in college.
Older? Oh my god, am I the baby in this room too?
Are you?
Oh,
I might be having a crisis at this point.
I
It's
do
usually
24 in
rough.
August. I do.
Oh yeah, you're the baby.
Baby!
You
Yeah, I'm
are
older
a
than you.
child, and we love you,
I
JT.
can't do this. I have to deal with it so much with the chaos.
Oh my god, I'm
Code.
34 in
Listen.
August.
It makes me happy that you're younger because I always am like stressing that I'm too young.
I'm the
You're
oldest,
welcome.
which I know.
Take this and run with it.
Now we have all learned some new things about each other in this final day.
Some behind the scenes lore.
Some behind
Everyone
the scenes
share
lore.
a really deep, dark secret about yourself personally before we start. Will, you go first.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, Will's
Yeah,
never
no,
done anything
nothing.
wrong in his life.
It's true.
I've well, that's not a secret.
Has to be deep and dark.
Deep and dark.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one.
This is the internet. You can just lie.
Yeah, that's true. I guess
You could make it up.
that is true. I haven't killed a man.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Excellent. Off to a strong start.
Anyway,
Such a strong start.
the bit's done now, so
It was just to get Will to reveal a deep, dark secret about himself.
About to
Thanks,
lose
Will.
that secret, Rev.
So this is where we are at tonight. This is the Table 1 finale. And everybody's going to start crying, and then I'm going to cry, and it's not going to go well. So we're all just going to acknowledge there's going to be a lot of tears tonight as we bring the story of these four to a close for now. So with that, if you have not caught us before, which I'm going to guess many of you watching have, since you are here for the finale, we are live from the Apocalypse, a not-for-profit TTRPG studio. We do a whole lot of stuff, streams, podcasts, all of the above, to raise money for aid organizations and progressive causes. Currently, we are raising money for Rainbow Railroad, which is an organization that helps queer and currently especially trans people get out of dangerous locations and get to places of safety. They are an incredible cause. We are very glad to be supporting them right now as it is very much needed. And so at any point during the stream, you can donate. The McElroy brothers will yell at Will specifically. He promised us last time he would yell into the mic to make sure that all of us are distracted as well. So
Nobody donated.
We'll see if that happens. But, you know, if Abigail is having some deep emotional moment, that is a really great time to donate because you will throw things off for him.
But that's not going to happen tonight, so it's fine.
Of course it won't. Of course it won't. Everything will be fine. You can also subscribe, of course. We cannot turn off that feature. However, if you do, please know that Brennan Lee Mulligan will kill one dog for every month you have subscribed. And after last week's episode, that may eventually put Fitz in the crosshairs, since we have run out of other de Villiers at this point. If you haven't caught last week's episode, you might want to, because it was an experience, to put it mildly. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. I am just full of emotions as we're heading into tonight's finale. So I think without further ado, I'm going to have our cast go around, remind us of who they are playing, and the current Monsterheart skin they are using. And we're going to start with Steph.
A weird thing to say.
So weird. What secrets are you hiding?
Steph. I think that's this one.
I'm hiding. No, I'm not. Hi, I'm Steph. I'm playing Rhiannon. She is the witch playbook tonight. Newly freed from her father's oppressive lifestyle, and now, not that it's been announced to society yet, the new Duchess of her household. She's 19. She's gonna have a lot of paperwork to deal with that she is not prepared for, but it's fine. She's got her friends. What could go wrong? Bottomest.
Incredible. Brings us over to you, Will.
It's true. Hello, my name is Will. In this game, I play Miss Abigail Donatelli, who is the Queen playbook. And as far as I know, will continue to be the Queen playbook. We'll see, though. I don't know. I guess that's it for me. This is fun.
I don't know why everyone looks so skeptical and concerned. It was
So skeptical.
It was just a statement. It was a fact. It was a fact. JT.
Bottomist.
Hi, I'm JT. My pronouns are they, them. Tonight I'm playing Lady Octavia Frostpin, leader of the underground Frostpin Revolt, and the Fae Skin. She's of the Winter Court.
And we let Octavia say fuck once, and everything has unraveled from there.
It was gonna happen whether she said it or not.
That's true. Hello, I'm Raph. I am playing Carmen tonight, who uses the ghoul skin. I recently have now been given my box of bones that also has the bones of my brother who lives inside of me. We'll see what and if we're able to get a successful ritual out here. Maybe before the coup, maybe after the coup. Who knows? You know, it's gonna be a night. Bottomest.
I love this for all of you. Incredible. So I am JD. I am the storyteller for this game, which means I am playing everyone else. Bottomest.
Oh, it was short and sweet, and it makes me nervous.
I mean, I don't
Get
have
right
much
into
to
it.
say. I don't have a character to introduce, and I don't have my whole outro to do. So, short and sweet to the point. It's fine. It means nothing.
The rest of the stream is just JD's outro.
Yes.
It's true.
All the games she's doing.
5 hours
No.
later.
All right, now to the finale.
All right. So, we open on London, a shot from above. It is mid-morning. The streets are starting to bustle with people moving around, and the atmosphere is best described as curious and tense. As rumors start to spread of events in the past day or so, of some sort of horrific tragedy, depending on who you talk to, following the De Villiers family, of something happening at the Carewood residence, of people in positions of power moving towards those places to ascertain what happened, though no one has been brought into custody. No charges have been filed, and nobody really seems to know what happened, except that they're pretty sure some blood was spilled. What exactly that means, no one knows, except for those who were there and those who have been informed. And speaking of those who were there, we open at the Donatelli residence. It is the morning after Abigail was brought back. by Mr. Dorian Black. And the house has remained still strangely quiet throughout. Abigail, where and how do we find you this morning?
I think Abigail is still in bed, but she is not sleeping. She lays on her back in this very large four-poster bed, just sort of staring up at the canopy above her. And she looks tired. She looks disheveled. There are some faint marks on her face and her arm, which are visible through the nightgown, like burns, but they are already in the process of healing. And I think as she lays there, she lifts one hand up and kind of turns it over and over, looking at it against the canopy and the bruises around her wrists where she was shackled.
And Abigail, as you are laying there comes a knock on your door.
I don't think she would respond or acknowledge it.
Despite that, the door opens and Abraham steps inside. He looks arguably the most disheveled that Abigail has ever seen him. His suit is rumpled. His glasses are actually off. And his hair is rumpled in the way it is when you've been running your hands through it over and over again. And he just studies you for a long moment and then just says, "Good morning, Abigail."
Without looking at him almost robotically, she would reply, "Good morning, Abraham."
And he sighs, and it's not a disappointed sigh, it's concerned sigh. And he takes a seat on the edge of the bed, kind of as far away from you as he can. He's clearly trying to give you your space. And without looking at you, asks, "How are you doing?"
My wounds are healing as expected. I'll be fine in a day or two.
That's not what I was asking, Abigail.
I think she would sit up and look at him when he says that, sort of cock her head to the side and say, "No."
And he looks over at you, and if you let him, meets your eyes and just shakes his head and softly says, "No."
Then what are you asking?
I am worried about you. Not about how you're doing physically. I'm worried about how you're doing outside of that.
Do you remember years ago when I first saw and met others of my age? And the things that they said to me, the things that they called me, did to me because of who you are, because of what I am. That would have been a good time to ask. Yesterday was nothing. Because you succeeded. I am untouchable in every sense.
Abigail, you have to understand that my only. And he stops himself and says, "You're right. This wasn't my only goal ever. I was going to say that my only goal was to keep you safe. But it is not fair for me to lie to you in that way. That is my only goal now."
Why? Why now? After everything, after all these years, after Dorian?
And there's a moment where, when you mention Dorian in particular, you can see like he latches onto that for a moment and he's going to say something. And then he stops himself once again. And you have never seen your father reconsider his words. And
Just answer one question. You brought us together. You made us think that it was our idea. Did you make him pretend to love me?
he looks genuinely shocked and says, "Absolutely not, Abigail. I brought the two of you together, hoping that you would make each other happy. And I can see that I severely miscalculated. But no, I did not. Nothing between the two of you was manufactured, at least not by me. But you're not wrong to ask. You're not wrong to wonder about that. Because to answer the other question you asked, why now? Because I can see how badly I've failed you.
What is it that you want from me? Because I already told you, you didn't fail. You wanted me to be strong. You wanted me to be powerful and loyal and useful. And I didn't break.
Abigail, I've failed because I wanted the wrong things for you. What I want is for you to be happy.
You taught me so many things. But you didn't teach me that.
I know. You can't teach something you do not have experience with. But I think there are other people in your life who can.
So what? What happens next?
That's up to you, Abigail.
But it isn't. But it isn't, because this is the same thing. This is the same thing. You broke me apart and you put me back together the way you wanted. You just don't like the pattern anymore. So what? You you build me a different way? I am missing something.
I know. I know you are, Abigail. And I did that because I thought it would keep you safer.
I'm so tired of being safe. It's exhausting.
It would come with a cost, Abigail.
She sits up a little straighter. What?
Not that kind of cost. You know all the risks. I don't know why I'm bothering to bring them up. You know that souls can be bartered, stolen, tricked, trapped. But I trust that you know enough that if you were to have your soul again, you would find those ways to keep yourself safe.
They're my mistakes. My pain. Mine to feel. Mine to make. Please. She will lean forward and put a hand on top of his. Say, if you ever cared for me, let me be hurt.
He looks down at your hand on top of his, and then covers your hand with his other one. And says, suppose I don't have the proper understanding of this, but that is the last thing a parent wants for their child. That said, Abigail, you're right. This time you deserve to rebuild yourself in the way that you choose. And if that is what you choose, I will help you with that.
I don't have anything left. I won't last like this.
And he nods, very briefly squeezes your hand before reaching up and taking an envelope out of his jacket and hands it to you and says, you say you don't have anything left, but I do not think that's true. You have several friends who were looking for you just yesterday.
I think she reaches out and takes the letter from him. Can I tell who it's from?
I'm going to say this is Rhiannon's letter if Steph will allow it.
Okay. She, I don't think, is going to open it in front of Abraham, but I think unconsciously she kind of holds it to her chest.
And Abraham says, I would like you to consider the next steps, but I will do my part in preparing what I need to. And if your soul is what you're asking for, Abigail, I will make that happen. But I want you to be certain that is what you want.
I think she will take his hand where it's still resting on top of one of hers, and she will pick it up and move it to her face, to her like cheeks, which are bone dry. She'll say, there should be tears here. I was taken off of the street. I was chained and shackled in a basement while a man tortured me. I lost the person that I thought that I loved. And I'm empty.
And he looks now at his hand on your cheek and then into your eyes. And says, well, that is the exact pain that I not wanted you to feel. I can see how the absence of it would leave its own mark and its own damage.
I think everything is pain. I watch everyone so closely. Every small tell, every twitch, it gives something away, and it all hurts them. The the joy, it hurts them. Love, desire, want, sadness. You You know pain. You know how to cause it and how to deal it out and what will hurt the most and where. And you tried to lock me away from that and save me from it, but it's all pain. You can't pick and choose. I can't. It's not a question of this is what I want. I will fall apart. What does it say over the gates? Abandon hope? But I never had any.
Abigail, the last thing I want is for you to fall apart. And if this is what will hold you together, I'm willing to do it. I would do anything you asked of me, Abigail.
She lays her hand over his hand where it's on her face still and looks him in the eye and says, "Then let me go, Father. Let me put myself back together. All of me."
And Abigail, you see something in your father's eyes that you've never seen before. You see pain. And he swallows hard and then says, "As you wish, Abigail. I will be here if and when you need me. And I will help you with the pieces you ask me to."
Thank you.
And he stands up. He squeezes your hand briefly before stepping away and walks towards the door. And then he pauses and looks back, and he doesn't say anything. He just looks to the letter still pressed to your chest and nods, and then goes to step out.
And when he closes the door, Abigail will take a deep breath and look at the letter and open it. It is sealed in deep green wax with the Carrowood crest, and there is a cluster of crimson poppies tied around the paper. It reads, "Dear Miss Donatelli, it is a relief that you've been rescued and are once again safe in your home. I hope these past few days have provided the rest and respite you need after such a terrible ordeal. Your father was quite distraught when he shared the news with us. Don't dismiss my words as empty platitudes. I know something of being held captive against my will. It's an abhorrent cruelty regardless of the brutality of one's captor. Should you ever feel the need to give voice to your experience without fear of judgment, you have only to call on me. The choice is yours. There is no trick here. I promise any words you choose to confide in me will not be shared with anyone and will not be used against you. May your recovery be as gentle as you desire. Yours in sympathy, Rhiannon Serena Carewood, Duchess of Astolat." I think Abigail will raise an eyebrow at the title.
As well she should, having missed out on that.
And then I think she will get up and she will go to her wardrobe and open it and start looking at the available options, the clothes that she owns. I think she has maybe one dress kind of shoved towards the back that is not black or red. It is this sort of mustardy yellow color. And she, her hand sort of pauses over it. I think she pushes all the other clothes to like the side and she looks at it for a second and her hand kind of wavers and she sort of shakes her head and pulls the rest of the clothes back into place over it and just picks a red and black dress.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
And then I think she is gonna finish making herself presentable and very slowly and with a lot of hesitation make her way over to the Carewood estate. I think she is sitting in the back of the cab, or, the carriage, I guess. Um, she's very fidgety and very nervous, and when it pulls up in front, she composes herself and gets out. And I think she spends some amount of time just sort of pacing back and forth. Can't quite bring herself to go up to the front door.
And as Abigail approaches the Carewood estate, something that is notable that she would immediately catch sight of is that something has changed about the Carewood estate. The exterior was always very much fine and composed and presentable. Well, anyone who has seen the backyard, and Abigail, of course, has, given the times that she has met with Noelle, that is where things get a bit more wilder, a bit more unruly. And what you see as you approach is that the entire house and the front yard is just covered in foliage, untamed wild growing everywhere. In fact, it has been this way since Rhiannon planted the seeds that Carmen had given them. And so we have flowers of soft pink, of yellow, bright sticks of goldenrod twining their way around the house. And before we have a chance to look inside, we are going to go back around 24 hours to when the three of you, having discovered that your companion, Abigail, was not available, shall we say, you continued making your way to the palace, and it wasn't an easy decision to make. I mean, Octavia, you were committed to this. You had a plan in place. You knew you had no choice. Similarly, Rhiannon, with your father's body laying in the study, you also knew that the only place to go was to the palace to get ahead of this, to use those favors in whatever ways you needed to prevent this from becoming a scandal and, of course, affecting Carmen, as well as yourself. Carmen, you were having a harder time staying with them because, in light of the news about Abigail, Damien had some pretty strong opinions about what you should be doing and where you should be going. But you were able to settle kind of him for the moment with the reminder of what would happen to both of you if the death of Rhiannon's father was discovered before you had a chance to set things right. And so the three of you reach the palace gates. What do you say when you are asked what has brought you there?
Rhiannon just kind of straightens her shoulders and just says there's a very urgent matter that we need the seneschal for, and I cannot say more until we are with him, and it is very urgent. So I would just ask you to convey who is giving the message and that it's urgent.
And the particular guard that you have spoken to looks skeptical, but leaves another guard, of course, to watch the three of you, and then heads inside. And it is not long before you are all escorted in. Given what you have requested, you are at least initially brought to that same library that you were in last time you spoke with the seneschal. And Julius is there, looking already very tired.
Hey, he loves us. No regrets meeting us.
We're three of his four favorite people.
Yeah. Top 3.
Oh,
That's so
come on
mean
now.
to Abigail.
So rude. It's not her
Top
fault.
3 of
Oh, I was going to say, I'm mechanically his favorite.
That
Yeah.
is true.
Octavia's
Top 2.
bottom.
And he just looks at the three of you and just shakes his head and says, "What's going on?"
uh, you should send someone to Prince Donatelli's estate. He informed us that Abigail has been kidnapped.
That has already been brought to my awareness.
Oh,
Thank you for that. Is
There
that
was-
why you're here?
it was part of the reason.
Is it being taken care of? Someone being sent to help?
It is complicated.
Oh, good. We wouldn't want to complicate things more, so we're
No,
going
I
to
suppose
stop
not.
burying the lead.
Sorry. I'll step back.
So it's in the process of getting her back.
I do not have current word on what the status is, but I have eyes out there.
Okay. There's another matter that I will probably be calling in my favor for. My father is dead.
I'm sorry. And he looks directly at Carmen
No,
and the
it's
blood that is still on Carmen's clothes.
he put
I'm
on
almost
gloves,
Carmen-
right? He
offended.
put on gloves and a coat, right? It's just soaking through now.
Carmen is just smiling. Like can't help but like beam.
It it's not his fault. I asked him to because my father was making a number of threats and I felt endangered and I asked for his help. And at the same time, Lady Frostpin had come to the estate to confront my father on the contract that he had broken with her family's court. And everything came to a head in that moment, and I had asked for help, and he defended me. And Lady Frostpin also attempted to talk my father down, and it didn't work, and he is dead now.
And he looks at Octavia and says,
Hello.
"Is that how it happened?"
Yes.
Look at me if you don't believe me.
Lady Carewood, you said something about calling in your favor.
I would hate to have Mr. Deloso and Lady Frostpin's name dragged into a mess of my family's making, so I would appreciate it if I could use my favor to keep them out of it and just have it be smoothed over as a tragic accident, heart attack. It's very sudden. Body is being cremated.
It was sudden.
Carmen,
Trying to help.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
If he's gonna bury it anyway, we may as well add on to it.
I know this is
I'm
less than
going
ideal.
Yes, I'm going to pretend that I did not hear most of that
Wonderful.
and let you ask for the favor yourself. It will be granted to you, I have no doubt.
Ask it myself.
Oh, you will be speaking to Her Majesty.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
Now or at a more presentable time?
That depends on how urgent you find this matter.
I would like it to be cleaned up soon.
I will see that that matter is dealt with, assuming that Her Majesty agrees.
Oh,
She will.
I mean, if it's an inconvenient time for her, you could just take care of it now, and then we could address her at a time she prefers. I would.
Well, I intend to speak with the Sovereign and Her Majesty anyway, so I don't see why you can't just ask for your favor at the same time.
Late in the evening, and I would hate to upset their majesties if they were hoping to be uninterrupted tonight. That
If it
is
helps,
my.
I'll go first. I'm going to ask them for something a lot worse than you are.
Are you?
Are we? Yeah, are we not their
Octavia?
constituents? Should we not? Do they not protect us and serve
Yes,
our?
but we shouldn't be too presumptuous. We don't want any bad feelings about the matter.
No, but everyone knows he was a threat to the crown and to the whole land, really.
He broke a contract, very serious to Faye, of course.
The
He was a
Fey
dangerous
crown.
man.
Fey crown. Carmen means the Fey crown, not
Oh, my
not
crown.
the British
Well,
one. He wasn't doing any of that. None of that. There was no additional matter like with the Villiers. No, it's I mean, you saw the contract, Seneschal. You know he had hidden it from you.
I did. And now he's looking at Octavia, given what she has said. And
Here, Rhiannon's been a little panicked about that because she's thinking now,
yes, now.
she's not saying that out loud. She's just kind of looking at her like, really? No? We're just gonna say it now.
I will see if they are open to seeking an audience with them, and will impart that it is an urgent matter. Mr. Deloso, will you also be calling in your favor?
I suppose that depends on the Majesty's response to Lady Carewood.
Of course. All right, stay here. Don't destroy anything. We can't afford to lose more tables and books. Some of those were priceless. Please. I'm honestly begging.
We
Of course,
wouldn't dream of it,
Seneschal.
Seneschal.
We would never. Those were extenuating circumstances.
Of course not. We would never do something like that. To
Mhm.
you, never.
I'll be right back.
Of course.
And he steps out of the room.
Rhiannon is just kind of like, oh my god.
Real quick, did they make me take off my sword when I entered the palace?
They have not had you do that yet, but
Okay.
you know enough about court etiquette to know that
Yes.
you will not be allowed to speak with the sovereigns with the sword on
Right.
you.
Oh.
Rhiannon, everything's
Yes.
going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It will.
Of course
will.
it will.
Murder is a lot better for them, I would wager, than asking them to back a coup.
Yes.
How are you going to convince them to back
That's
you,
a funny
Octavia?
story. Do you remember when I took my leave that night that we were here
Yes.
with Miss Donatelli? So when we took our walk down the passages, we stumbled upon a room that happened to be filled with blood. And that's where we found Horatia de Villiers poisoning the pots. I was there, Miss Donatelli was there. I didn't want to do anything because that had already filled in spaces that I had presented earlier, and I didn't want to take Horatia in. But before I left at Miss Donatelli's behest, I froze a few pots of blood, the ones that I presume were poisoned, and I intend to make that my leverage, which is why I was hoping Miss Donatelli would be here tonight to corroborate it immediately. However, I think the ice will speak for itself.
It should.
They owe you a prisoner as well.
No, I don't want the prisoner. The prisoner
Well,
is the reason.
it's not yours, it's the Winter Court's.
Not for long.
Lady Frostpin, my concern is you're asking one power to involve themselves directly in overthrowing a foreign power, if you will.
already
Um,
considered, tensions between these two powers are already rising because of the
yes.
existence of Horatio de Villiers. If they help me, that goes away.
And that is the moment that the seneschal walks back in and looks at the three of you. This time looks specifically at the sword that Octavia has and
Oh, yes.
says, any weaponry that you have on you, please place on the table before we head in.
She unclips a belt that she'd been wearing and just sort of lays it on the table gently.
Should I stay?
It's not going to melt.
Are you saying that because you consider yourself to be a weapon, Mr. Deloso?
Carmen winks at him.
Flexes. Whole body's a weapon.
Mr. Deloso, you are welcome in the chambers. However, if you do have any weaponry on you, please remove it.
I don't believe I do. Do I?
I don't know. Do you have your pistol on you?
That's
Just
a
got
good
these
question.
sick guns.
Yeah.
And then also this regular gun.
And
I also have
also
this regular
actually
gun.
like a
Actual revolver,
bullet.
yeah.
Yeah.
These guys. Oh, and this gun.
And that's a good point. Yes, I do. Could definitely, if I was gonna go see Rhiannon's father, then probably. So I think he like starts walking toward the seneschal, like, nope.
And Julius
Second
like definitely
thought.
holds out a hand at the moment you do that.
On second thought, I do. I don't usually carry it around, which is why it's so strange. And just like, yeah, fishes out the pistol and puts it next to Octavia's sword.
And nothing for you, Lady Carewood.
Of course not.
All right. Very well. This should be interesting. And Julius leads the way down the halls and brings you to the throne room. And it looks much the way it did at everyone's presentations at the opening of the season. I will say something that catches your attention is those flowers that were placed there, the ones in shades of black and crimson. Some of them are wilted, and you do notice that, though everything else is the same. And Queen Lee Montgomery and Sovereign Micah Bellamy sit atop the thrones, watching you and studying you intently as the three of you walk in.
Before we walk in, like right before the doors open, I think Carmen reaches over and squeezes Rhiannon's hand like real quick.
It's good because she is definitely like, internally it's a panic attack. Externally it's just like, just be calm, just be calm. So when he does that, she just kind of takes a deep breath and is just like, thank you. Just squeezes back. Thank you.
And Julius presents each of you.
Deep curtsy, very deep curtsy.
Octavia just full out kneels.
Octavia, you were all met with varying levels of approval. Octavia's met with additional layers of approval, and then Queen Lee Montgomery gestures for you to stand as Julia says, these three were instrumental in the capture of Horatio de Villiers, and as promised, they and Miss Abigail Donatelli have all earned favors from you, sovereigns. They've come to ask those of you now. I'll let them speak for themselves.
Oh, they don't know. All right. All right. Um, and Rihanna just kind of takes a moment, just deep breath, and just says, Your Majesties, this is a very awkward position, but you would know my father is not the most genial of people and can be quite harsh. And I felt very threatened by him earlier this evening, and I wrote to Mr. Deloso for help, and he came to my aid. At the same time, Lady Frostpin had come to our home to confront my father over a broken contract that he had made with her court and broken, and had attempted to hide from you. I'm sure the Seneschal already made you aware of that. But in the middle of everything, with tempers being as heated as they were, my father, Carmen, had to defend me, and my father is now dead. And I would ask for my favor to be to keep any mention of Mr. Deloso and Lady Frostpin out of it. It was my family's business to deal with, and we should have prevented it from escalating as far as it did. And I would ask that it be it be cleaned up and be made to be nothing more than either an accident or a sudden death. And I would ask that the body be cremated for the funeral.
And there is a long moment of silence as Queen Louis and Sovereign Micah just look over at each other. And you almost get the sense that they're talking, but not speaking.
Mm.
And then Sovereign Micah nods and looks back at you, and Queen Louis follows suit, and she simply says, Consider it done.
Rhiannon just kind of like visibly like sags in relief and just like curtsies again. It's just like, thank you. I know this is so much to ask, but I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
And Sovereign Micah says, No one should be made to feel unsafe in their own home. That appears to be their only comment on the matter.
Rhiannon just kind of swallows and nods and just steps back next to Carmen.
And as the three of you are silent, Queen Louis says, Is that all?
Octavia will turn to Carmen. Do you want to go next, or should I?
My request, I need a bit more time.
That is perfectly acceptable. Lady Frostpin.
Lady Frostpin will nod and step forward. Attempting to keep as much composure as she can. She's never done anything like this before. And it's not the coup that's throwing her off, it's just addressing the regents.
It's
Because it's not. She feels very righteous about it.
What a
As she
sentence.
should.
That's
What a
fine.
sentence.
It's not.
As she should.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I love Octavia.
She focuses on Micah as she speaks. Your Highnesses, Your Majesties, there has been a lot of tension arising between my court and the Regency here, due to the capture of Horatio de Villiers. I have come to request your support in a manner that I think will help alleviate us all of that tension. My uncle, King Laszlo of the Winter Court, has seen fit to sit on another court's throne and has been taking actions and making plans not fit of any ruler. As such, I am come to ask, as one of the two people who caught Horatia in the act, to back me as Lady Octavia Frostpin, scion of the Winter Court and heir apparent to the throne.
And Queen Louis and Sovereign Micah look at each other once again, though it is much briefer this time. And Queen Louis says, Lady Frostpin, this is sounding more like the business of the Fae Courts to determine for themselves.
That was my initial thought before I learned some information regarding previous court members who were believed to be treasonous for reaching out to the other courts, and so I saw fit to seek allies elsewhere.
And so, just to be clear, Lady Frostpin, you are asking for our backing as you aim to usurp power in the Winter Court.
Yes, and I understand that one favor for capturing a murderer and attempted regicider is not necessarily enough to curry such support, and as such, I'm amenable to other costs should you see fit to levy them, including the retention of Horatia de Villiers as your prisoner for her crimes against you.
And Sovereign Micah tilts their head and studies you and asks, is that something you have the power to determine?
If I am successful, yes.
That is a significant if.
I'm aware, Sovereign Micah. And I understand if you have to say no.
And they look at each other once again. And then Queen Louis looks back at you and says, Lady Frostpin, we will need a few days to consider this offer and this request.
That is most understandable. In the coming days, you can reach me at the Carewood estate. I do not feel wholly safe in my own room at the moment.
And Queen Louis nods at you. Sovereign Micah looks over at Carmen and says, you said you needed a bit more time. Do you need more?
Oh, yes, I need at least another day or perhaps two.
There
Before,
is no rush, though.
of course.
though perhaps not at this hour of the night again.
Of course, we would not have been here if it wasn't so urgent.
Right. Urgent business and whatnot.
And it is at that point that, unless the three of you say otherwise, you are all dismissed, and Seneschal Julius Shaw goes with you to deal with the situation at the Carewood estate. He looks like he would rather be anywhere else, but he does a good job of it. And at some point before he leaves, he does say to you, Octavia, I think you made a wise decision staying here at the Carewood estate. I would encourage you to keep your head down in the coming days.
I appreciate your honesty, Seneschal.
And he nods and then leaves as quickly as he can. And that brings us back to this morning with Miss Abigail Donatelli pacing outside of the Carewood estate, having a hard time stepping through those doors. How long are you out there, Abigail?
Not that long.
Only 3 hours.
Yeah, only 3 hours. No, I think she is out there for maybe 5 minutes, just kind of pacing, and then we'll kind of take a deep breath and walk up to the front door and raise her hand to knock. And then she will knock.
And Rhiannon, I would imagine by this point the servants are back. I know that you had aimed to get most of them out of there that night.
Yep.
And so one of the servants answers the door and just looks at you, Abigail, and says, How can I help you?
I'm here to speak to the Lady Carewood.
Of course. Who should I tell her is calling?
Miss Abigail Donatelli.
And the servant says, Very good, and brings you inside to one of the sitting rooms, and then goes to get you, Rhiannon, and informs you that Miss Abigail Donatelli is in the sitting room.
I think Rhiannon probably would have been out in the garden, maybe with Octavia, if Octavia had wanted to see the flowers. So
She probably went with you, but she has, I would say, essentially raided your father's office for documents regarding any exchange that the Winter Court may have had with them.
oh, so they would have just been right in that office together then, because yeah. Then I suppose Rhiannon would just been like, I'll leave you to that. Abigail is here. I will be back.
Abigail's here.
Yes. I don't know if she's aware you're here though, so let me just see her one-on-one first. I did write to her, and I wouldn't want her to be caught off guard after everything.
Of course.
Thank you. She will go and hurry into the sitting room and just kind of, Abigail, how are you?
Before that happens, while the person is fetching Rhiannon, JD,
Mm-hmm.
can I summon Noel to me?
Of course. And Noelle
Sure, it's
walks
fine.
in. It's very easy to, I mean, she likely already sensed that you were in the house and wasn't far away. And so the moment she feels you call for her, she comes to you and kneels down in front of you.
Abigail won't say anything. She'll just wait for Rhiannon to get there.
And I guess one other thing before Rhiannon gets there, just out of curiosity, where is Carmen?
What?
Carmen is probably not at the Carewood estate. Probably stayed pretty late into the night after everything that happened. But also doesn't want to raise any more eyebrows of potential concern or scandal, since there's already, Octavia staying there, and there's some sus shit happening. So I think after a while he just walks reluctantly home.
All right, good to know. And so, Rhiannon, you walk into the sitting room, see Abigail sitting there, and Noelle, your most trusted confidant, kneeling there in front of her.
And Rhiannon just kind of freezes because this was not what she was expecting. And just kind of takes a moment and just kind of clenches her jaw and then just steps in and closes his door and just says, well, this is not how I expected to bring this topic up to either of you. But since you went through all the trouble to put on such a display, is there something either of you would like to say?
I got your letter.
I had assumed as much when I heard you were here.
I understand why you would think that this is a display for you. And I suppose in a way it is. But not as a threat. Not as leverage or this is who I am. She'll gesture to Noelle. Say, I use people. And I control them and I make them do things they wouldn't otherwise do. They would never do in a million years.
And why did you have this arrangement with Noelle?
To keep an eye on you.
Why?
Because you were a threat.
You've made it abundantly clear how little of a threat I was in our interactions. So when did this start? When did you first perceive me as a threat to you, Abigail?
Last season, you took something of mine.
Would you like it back?
No. No, I don't want it back. You can keep it.
I apologize. I should have had more self control. And that was not fair to take my frustrations out by stealing your fan.
Did you use it
I did.
to look at me?
I did.
And what did you see?
I saw you alone in your room, looking vulnerable and bereft. And I should not have done that. I regretted it as soon as I did that. I should not have spied on you in that way. I suppose I also perceived you as a threat.
I said so many things to you. Not being strong enough, of caring too much what other people thought about you, including your own family.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel things so freely.
Overly so, one might say.
At one point, I thought it was a weakness. I thought it was your weakness. And I was prepared to use it against you. But I think what I've learned is that weaknesses, they only matter if you're at war. And everyone else is just living.
Rain will just kind of look at Noelle and just be like, "Would you leave us for a moment, Noelle?"
And Noelle looks to Abigail.
Abigail will take a deep breath and close her eyes and say, "You're free." And it echoes.
And Noelle is staring up at you, Abigail, as you do that. And you see a range of emotions cross her face almost in an instant. For the first moment, she looks heartbroken and hurt and adrift. And then as her eyes clear, she looks confused and ashamed. And it's that point that she looks to Rhiannon and looks between Rhiannon and Abigail and slowly gets to her feet. And at that point, she no longer looks at you, Abigail. She walks over to Rhiannon and very quietly says, "I'm sorry." And then she hurries out of the room.
Before she does, Rhiannon just kind of gently squeezes her arm and then lets her go. Because it did sting, it visibly stung Rhiannon that she had looked to Abigail for permission first, but she understands that that's not on Noelle, even though it hurts. And she'll just kind of take a moment and just. Seems like we've both done plenty of things to hurt each other without any valid or even worthwhile reason, other than just being threatened by the different things each of us had. And I don't know about you, but I, for one, am very tired of tiptoeing around threats every day. It is exhausting.
Been here for so long. I don't know anything else. But I'm so tired. Sick. Sick of these secrets and these shadows.
Rhiannon will kind of go over and sit, not like immediately next to Abigail, because this is very new waters still, but she'll sit in the armchair across from her and just say, then maybe if we are in agreement of that, we can take small steps and see what it is like to live in the light a little bit. But regardless of your actions and why you've done things that I don't believe you deserved what you went through, what De Villiers put you through, you didn't deserve that.
I think in a way I'm grateful.
Why?
Because it should have been the worst thing that ever happened to me. But it was just a day. It was just another day. I am incomplete. But I'm working on it.
I think that's all a lot of us can really do is work on the things till we figure out how we fit together in a way that is most comfortable and feels right to each of us.
So, Duchess,
Yes, it has not been made public yet, but my father has very recently passed away. I doubt I am the Seneschal's favorite person right now.
seems there is an epidemic.
Oh, what a shame. Oh well. Parents die at some point.
Most.
Most. I I'm not sad about it, but I think the only regret I have is that I was not able to handle it on my own.
That it is a lonely road. I'm realizing.
It would seem that way, but we don't have to take it. We can pick a different road or say, to hell with the roads, find a path or find a way that hasn't been walked or paved yet and see what we find for ourselves and not without anyone else's expectations on us. And it's not easy, but those choices belong to us. And surely that has to mean something.
So you found that backbone after all.
Had to dig a little deep for it, but seems it was there.
So what road are you now on? I was
Oh,
told you came asking for me.
yes, I had wanted to wanted to stop by on the way to the palace to let you know how things had gone by, and, well, then we found out what had happened, and it kind of, uh, shifted a course a bit. There is, a very thorny path, Lady Frostpin is currently walking that I had offered her my assistance on. If it is one you'd be interested in hearing, I would bring her in myself. I don't feel it's in my place to speak of the dangers of her course, but it will certainly not be a boring time. And of course, you would be welcome to visit here whenever you would like or feel the need, and maybe we can spend time together as something other than enemies.
I have some time to kill.
And I think that right there is where we are going to close on this scene and this beautiful moment between Abigail and Rhiannon. Rhiannon, I'm going to ask you this first before we get our closing shot before we head to break. Where is the box of bones?
It's in my closet still, in my bedroom, locked
Thought it
in
probably
there.
was.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Why? Why are you curious? Huh?
Because as we pan away from Abigail and Rhiannon, pan out to Octavia in Rhiannon's father's study, going through as many boxes as she can, and then pan over to Rhiannon's room. We hear a knocking sound from the closet. And that is where we are going to take our break.
Hey, come on now.
What? What's knocking? He's in a box.
Hey, come on now.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Severe, just a
Yeah.
single stab to the
Just
gut.
one stab.
I'm
It
not-
wasn't
if
fatal.
you think about it, it's not my fault, really.
Yeah.
It's true.
Carmen's just working his way up to be trophy husband.
Which we
It's
love to
already
see.
a dream.
Looking cute.
It's a dream, honestly.
Looking cute.
Incredible. So
That
hi,
is the
we are
dream.
back.
Being cute and murder.
Yay.
That is the name of this game. Although after our conversation at break and what happened last week, I feel like we're, one step away from just turning full Game of Thrones, which
Table
was not
two
my
set the
intention.
bar.
I don't know. Are we that fucked up yet?
No.
I believe the phrase "red wedding" was uttered last
Yeah,
session.
it
I
was.
believe.
Oh,
It
It
absolutely
was said
was.
loud and
True.
clear.
Yeah, I believe
That is
Alex said that
true.
I'm
No
going to red
hesitation.
wedding
Red
my
wedding my
entire
family.
family.
He did.
That's right. Maybe we
facial
are
dream
there.
was
We're just
amazing.
having more fun with it than they did.
Everybody else was fine with it, and you're just like, wait, what?
Just
Laszlo's
howling.
throne is my iron throne, okay?
Yeah.
No, we saw how that ended.
I never saw Game of Thrones, so I'm really just flying
So you're
high on a lot of
safe.
assumptions
I didn't watch
here.
it. I just saw the fallout and
Big stretch.
That sign can't stop me because I can't read.
can't read.
Incredible. So regicide is off the table for this immediate moment. Probably not for long, given where Octavia is, but where we jump back into the action, it is nighttime. The streets are quieter, not quiet. There's enough people out at the pubs making noise that at this point where the four of you are is faint and a little bit in the background. Because the four of you are standing in the midst of a graveyard outside of the Church of the Sun.
Just a
Right?
very normal place to be.
Just to hang
It's
out.
such a normal place to be.
Honestly, Carmen comes here a lot.
I was gonna say
almost
He
every
does.
night. So this is very normal for her.
Carmen's like,
Honestly,
guys, I want to take you to my special spot, the graveyard.
Yeah. My
Honestly,
thinky
this-
spot.
This graveyard is just a little guy.
This graveyard is so
Yes,
This graveyard is just a little guy.
I don't even know how to respond to that. That is a sentence. And so, over the past day or so, Rhiannon, you were alerted by that knocking in your room. When you opened the door to your closet, the box was right where you left it, but you could feel that the energy was getting more and more agitated, and that whispering that it quieted was starting to get louder again. Carmen,
Mm-hmm.
you were also starting to feel that pull. You would find yourself, and I'm sure a few times you just let it happen, like you would find yourself just pulled towards Duchess Carewood's house. And you wouldn't even realize it was happening. You would be halfway there and snap back to yourself. And what was strange is it wasn't like it used to be with Damien. With Damien, you were often a part of it, except for those rare times where everything was blurred or blank in your memory. But Damien felt just as shocked by this as you did. It was not him pulling you towards there. It was both of you being pulled in that direction. And it was becoming abundantly apparent that something needed to be done. Which is why the four of you are standing in the graveyard this evening, preparing to get the rest of the remains.
Carmen, do you know if it was a long coffin or a smaller box by any chance?
Well, to be fair, it was I don't know because I woke
Okay.
up
Oh.
post funeral.
I'm so sorry. Oh dear.
Well,
But I'm assuming it's probably at least some form of not great box. There's not much of us in there.
Right. All right. Admittedly, I have not dug open a grave before, but see what I can do.
I
I
mean,
can
they have
probably make
shovels
us
here.
tools too.
Yeah. Octavia
Did-
can make an ice shovel in an instant.
That seems
Not
impractical.
an instant.
Is it going
It's
to melt?
okay.
Oh well, not in
No.
her bare hands.
My constructions don't break unless I want them to. Why do you think I have the same sword?
Exactly.
As you said.
Thank you both for your help in this matter. I'm sure once we get dug up, we can bring them to my estate and then do everything in the garden, where it will be safe and we won't be interrupted. Okay. Can I try to use a magical to try to soften the earth to make it easier to move?
Of course.
Just like
Please do a roll with dark.
That's
Yeah.
my specialty. Okay. That's a 9. So that's a mixed success.
It is a mixed success.
Fine, what does that give? What would that have been rolling?
So, what I'm going to say with this is that you are able to soften the earth. And in fact, you are even able to feel, since it is a box, the coffin, such as it is, that the bones are buried in. But you realize you went a little deeper than you meant to because the earth is not feeling particularly stable. And so you know where the box is. It is definitely easier to get, but you also know that the three of you need to move quickly.
We should hurry. That I don't. The ground might cave in. I think I did that a little too much.
You're just a powerful witch.
Thank
It's hard to control.
you. Yes, but
And
we should really dig though.
Ice shovels or
take your pick. Ice shovels are going to be cold. I prefer them that way.
I think it's fair to say Rhiannon would have retrieved a shovel from the gardener's shed
I
to
think
bring
that's
with.
fair. Yes, you
She's
can
like,
have
"This'll
brought any
work."
tools that you would like.
She didn't think to bring gloves because she has not done heavy digging work, so we're just gonna get blisters.
I don't shovel.
You can pull the box up then.
I thought when you said help us in this, I thought you meant like stand
Okay.
here and watch.
Brienne's just gonna take a deep breath, just like, it's a slow process. Okay. Yep, no, that's fine. Once we unearth the box, you just pull it up. So Rhiannon's just gonna start digging.
I've never
Yeah,
dug
I
up a
think-
grave before.
Armin also.
It's nighttime, but
Honestly,
Abigail
start.
has a parasol. It's like, oh, I think a little over that way.
It would really be helpful for Fitz to be here now. Can you imagine? He just so quick.
Yes.
Why?
Rand looks a little bit awkward at the mention of it, just because that's still a little fresh for her.
I wouldn't worry about it. But I
Okay.
think he is
Persona.
Dealing with
he's
his family matters.
recovering.
Good for him.
From what? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's probably fresh for you too. I don't want to.
Probably
Pry.
dealing with
I
his family.
Yes, it's
serious.
too fresh. I cannot speak of it. It's too painful.
Octavia looks like she maybe doesn't believe Abigail, but also kind of does.
So
Absolutely does
the
not.
digging. Yes.
Yes.
Do we unearth it before we fall into the ground?
You do. I mean, there are 3 of you digging. One of you doing a very good job observing and supervising.
Supervising, yeah.
She reminds me of Helix.
And so you do manage to get this box of bones out as well. Harmon. As the box is lifted out of the ground, you feel a sharp pain in your chest. And you're not quite sure what to make of it. Your anatomy and physiology is not quite normal given your state.
Right.
And it takes a moment for you to realize that what you're feeling is Damien moving almost instinctively towards that box, but he can't.
Hmm.
And that's the tearing sensation of him trying to move towards where he knows he's meant to be.
I think in that case, Harmon quickly grabs the box and just holds it against him, trying to keep it tightly against Damien as much as possible, and just says, if all goes well, it won't be long now.
And the pain lessens a bit, but that pulling and tearing sensation doesn't. And Damien, who has been unusually communicative in recent weeks, you're noticing that it is going back to the way things used to be, where all you got from him were emotions and drives and urges and all of that, but nothing that was coherent, nothing really that was reminiscent of your brother.
Is the struggle clear? Like to the rest of us? Can we tell that's happening?
You can definitely tell something is happening.
If
No, go ahead.
I think just if Abigail can tell that that's happening, I think she would sort of step close to Carmen and lean, sort of like stand on tiptoes to like lean up to his ear and just sort of say quietly, patience. And she'll put a little bit of power behind that.
I don't think Carmen even notices that Abigail like creeps up. I think he's just like everything is just internal right now.
Abigail, out of curiosity, are you speaking to Carmen or Damien?
Damien, trying to quell him temporarily.
That was what I figured, but I wanted to ask. And so, Carmen, you are kind of oblivious to this, but you do feel things start to settle. And you almost lose your grip on the box because your hand instinctively reaches out to Abigail.
I think the hand kind of like grasps her arm and again kind of like doesn't even notice what's going on. And then when he does realize, when it kind of comes back to Carmen, he just kind of shakes and says, sort of a bit unsteady at the moment. Thank you.
Are you all right to carry it?
I think it would be worse if I didn't, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't think I can be apart from it now.
Ah. You should hurry. I'll go ahead to make sure it's still clear on the way to carriage.
We're doing this now.
I don't
It's
know
a
that we have a
question.
choice.
Okay.
You can barely keep your hands off me.
Another
I
deep
think
breath from Rhiannon.
pointedly, like,
Why do
takes a step away.
Why do you three always get like this when you're together? I don't. It confused me in the library the first time, the second time, and it's confusing me now.
Are you feeling left out?
I don't think so.
We can include you.
Please
It can be
don't.
remedied. Okay.
I'm gonna cover up the grave.
That's a great idea. Yes.
You can
And
fill it with
Octavia
ice. It's fine.
will summon a sheet of ice over it and then just
Nice.
take her shovel and cover the sheet of ice with dirt.
Incredible.
Nice.
Nice.
Amazing.
I'm not
We
filling
love
that whole thing back in.
No, of course not. It'll be someone's future problem.
I need to make a quick stop at my house, if you don't mind. There's something I need to get before we do this.
If it's needed, of course.
It won't be long.
Okay.
I think Carmen also goes to the grave and picks up those weird bone, like, I don't know what they're called, but
You
bone
can
balls.
You can grab the talismans that
Thank you.
have been put around the grave. It actually feels easier than expected. Like there was that warning before not to touch them. Nothing happens. It seems that they've served their purpose.
I think he takes them anyway and just kind of lays them on top of the box and just kind of holds it and walks on.
And you meet no one on the way to the carriage, but Octavia.
Just a point of concern. Your parents know what that box is, right?
Carmen's not carrying it in the. Wait, are you carrying it
Well,
in the
that's what I'm
house?
saying. You seemed pretty perturbed by the idea of being separated from it. And I don't. I guess I don't know if you've considered how your parents might feel if you walk in with the coffin of your
Oh.
remains.
To be quite honest, I don't really care what my parents think. However, you make a good point.
I can take
So
care of your parents.
I was going to say you can come with me and take the box when needed. But I think I would like to. My parents will have their time. They don't know that this is going on. They don't even know that Damien is here.
I'm not saying that I would kill them.
Oh, I don't think I would mind if you did, but
No, if I
We don't
have
have
it in
time
me
to
to do that a
unpack all of
second
that,
time.
but
Maybe
I
they
could
won't
just
be home. Maybe they'll be at the theater.
or I could just make them stare at the wall until we leave. There are many options.
you know what? I think I would like that. I think that sounds really fun.
Very
Can
well.
you make them do anything?
Oh no.
It depends. Do you want their minds intact?
Oh dear. Is now
They
time for
lost their minds when they tried to bring me back, really, so
Then yes.
wonderful. We won't be long,
Just be careful, please.
I'll be here.
of course.
We'll be at the carriage.
And so, Carmen and Abigail, you are heading up to the Deloso estate. Okay. And so, Carmen, do you bother knocking, or given that you live there, do you
No,
just walk in?
absolutely not. I absolutely just walk in. It's late enough that again, we're new money, so it's not that we have like a bunch of servants or anything like that. And it's probably late enough that no one is there other than maybe like my parents' one maid, but she's probably, having her tea in the kitchen or something like that, having a warm glass of milk or something. She won't. She's fine.
And so, I'm curious, Carmen, you are there to retrieve something. You have a mission.
I do.
Are you focused on that, or are you focused on letting Abigail find your parents first?
I think it depends on what gets done first. So if we get to Carmen's room, then we'll just do what we gotta do. And then you know, it's like whatever comes first comes first. But both will happen.
I'm going to say that you reach your room without incident.
Okay.
Your parents ignore you most of the time, and so hearing your footsteps, they're not particularly inclined to look out of their room to see what's going on with you. They don't see any reason to do so. So you can get to your room without any trouble.
Okay. In that case, I go to my nightstand next to my bed, and I have a little box there, and I grab it, and then I start walking back. And I say, I do hand Abigail the box of bones, and just kind of box swap. So I take the small box.
I take it, but very gingerly because it's dirty.
That's fair.
You know, I didn't think that the Princess of Hell would mind getting her hands dirty, but
There have always been so many hands at my disposal.
well, there's a first for everything, isn't there?
I'm turning over a new leaf.
I will love to see it. Before you do, though, my parents, you really can do anything. Make them do anything.
Some of it depends on how strong their wills are.
Doubt it's very strong, to be honest.
I understand that they have wronged you. Are you certain this is what you want?
Don't break their minds. I'm sure Damien and I will handle that. But I wouldn't be opposed to having them do something silly or embarrassing. They're quite proper now that they've come into money. Very, do you know who I am kind of people. So a little bit of humbling wouldn't be too bad.
I understand that you resent them because they made you into a monster.
It's not that I resent them for that. I think I resent the lack of care for what they did, not just to me, but to Damien as well. They just feel no remorse. They wear black because they were expected to. They speak kindly of us because we're their sons. They mourn Damien as heir to the home, but they have other things on their minds.
Abigail doesn't meet Carmen's eyes. She sort of stares off into. I think she ends up staring at the box for a second. Like she's thinking, and then she looks up at Carmen and says, "They put you back together wrong."
Literally, or they definitely made their decisions.
Whatever you want.
All I'll say is that if it were up to them, if they had the second box, there would really be no need for me. So I suppose I should thank the Connollys in a way. Before. Eventually.
I'm sure we will. Where are they?
My parents. It's late, so they're probably in the study at the fireplace. What they do there, I don't know. I think they pretend to read because that's intellectual of them.
Abigail will give Carmen the box and go to the study. Try to find the study if she can.
And
My only request, if this works, this ritual, I want them to be whole enough to see and to understand what's happened. And that they failed.
Understood.
Carmen, as you and Abigail have been talking, there has been this increasingly restless energy from Damien. And you can feel that he's getting agitated. And for the first time in at least a day, you can feel that he is together enough to be able to form full sentences, which he hasn't been. Which I think highlights exactly how intensely he's feeling about this, because he wrestles that control from you. And your eyes change as he looks to Abigail and says, "My brother is short-sighted. Can you do this without hurting them?"
Of course I can.
There's no risk.
There's always risk.
We need them to see what they've done. And humiliating them is not worth the loss of that. And so can you promise me, Abigail? Can you promise me they will be intact after this.
No, I won't make you that promise.
And I'm going to ask you not to.
Very well. I keep my promises. And then she'll leave.
And Damien will give the reins back to Carmen.
How much did Carmen overhear?
Oh, you overheard all of that. None of that was hidden from you.
I think Carmen honestly laughs a little bit. Because it's it felt a little nostalgic to be the dumb younger brother for a little bit, to want to do something stupid and have your older brother be like, that don't do that, that's dumb.
Relatable when you're talking about mind controlling your parents. It's fine.
So I think he laughs as he's following Abigail and just says, I just wanted a little fun.
And you can just feel Damien shaking his head at you.
Relief.
And so the four of you, it sounds like, head towards Rhiannon's estate.
Yep.
And that's the plan.
Just to do it in a secluded part of the garden. And get the other box from her room and bring it down. See if they can do this ritual.
And so, first I will ask, Rhiannon, I know you will be taking point in the ritual, so to speak. Will Octavia and Abigail be present?
Abigail's done a ritual or two.
Do you think you'll need my help at all?
We could use your comfort.
Unless it's too much for you. I wouldn't say no to having another friend on hand.
I will try to provide emotional support as needed. I cannot promise that I will be of any use outside of that.
That's fair. Thank you.
And that's all we ask from a friend.
She looks so uncomfortable. Right, friends. Yes.
Good.
We're friends.
You've done all of the phases of friendship. You have stopped regicide, you have grave robbed, you're now doing a ritual together. I mean,
Killed a
Murdered
father.
together.
Killed a dad?
Killed a whole dad.
Daddy
The bonding is
stew.
just so good.
real normal stuff.
Bonds of
Real
friendship.
normal friendship
Fortune and
stuff.
fire. And blood.
And so the four of you begin to set up. You open up the boxes. You start to account for the different pieces. And you prepare the sigils and symbols you will need to complete this ritual.
So, given that it's a mix of both brothers, do I need to put any sigils on Carmen, or is this just on the bones left?
You need to put sigils on Carmen.
I figured because we can't. She's not cutting them up. So
We won't look.
yeah, Rhiannon will just have to very gently paint the sigils on whatever parts of his body require them and just be like, just try not to smudge them.
I think we're in like solid wood chopping territory. I think we know which parts.
Wood chopping territory is great. Yeah, I think Carmen just takes off whatever he needs to take off. I think while he's doing that too, there's a pause and he turns to Rhiannon and says, before we go too deep in this, before we reach a point of no return, there's something I must give you. And he grabs the small box and hands it to her. And it's a small wooden box with a leather like strap holder, like that has a little button that you can close it with. And he says, should anything happen, this is yours. You can have it. Either way, I'm not going to need it after this, because I will either be gone or there will never be a day where I won't be by your side.
Rand just kind of takes a moment, just like, you're not going to be gone, because I'm not going to let that happen, no matter what it takes. Should I open this now or after?
It's yours. You can do whatever you'd like with it.
She's gonna open it now because she's very nervous about this ritual. She hasn't done this before. She's very scared and trying to hide it.
He's gonna keep getting naked. I don't know if he has to be naked, but
I don't know if he has to be naked either. Is it just a shirtless situation? Is it just like
Octavia turns around?
Just for Octavia.
Octavia, watch and learn.
No.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second.
Don't speak to her that way. Octavia, don't look.
Yeah, that's fine, Octavia.
You're not missing anything.
You're the one who's absolutely
just
staring,
like, that
though.
is so uncalled for,
You should
Abigail.
just go back inside.
Just
seems incredibly personal.
It's just a ritual. It's very
Stay.
personal. The bodies are
a ritual
involved.
he has to be naked for.
He's not completely naked. It's fine. You don't have to watch it. You can just
I'm not gonna
wait.
watch.
Good, wonderful. Where you're standing is fine. It's Brandon is just bright red.
Incredible. Okay.
Oh, you messaged it to me.
Are we sharing secrets?
Oh.
And
sharing
shadows?
JD, they're sharing secrets right now. Make them stop.
Fine, I'll allow it.
What?
I mean, I can read what's in it now if you'd like.
They're passing notes in class. Read it to the class.
Yeah, read it.
Within the wooden box is a small pond pebble, an unidentifiable bone, a cracked piece of metal, a burnt matchstick, a stick of dried rosemary, the broken wing of a white moth, a yellow and red stained leaf, a blue-gray feather, a large seed pod. This is a small box? A needle with a brown thread still tied to it, a dried collection of flowers, a smooth green glass, a single pearl earring glazed and forgotten, an ink bottle with moss inside, a petrified spider, a small chunk of wood with burn marks, a blue marble, a rusted thimble, a stem full of thorns, and a note that reads, My beloved Lady of Thorn and Starlight, I owe to you my devotion forevermore and give it to you freely along with these small trinkets of the days you gripped my heart from afar. They are yours as I am yours, and if you looked closely, you shall find a piece of my soul amongst the trimmings.
I think Abigail, not reading the note, just kind of like glances over at the box and says, I don't know what I expected, but you somehow always manage to disappoint, Carmen Deloso.
Does that bone need to go in this circle?
Most people just give
I
a
saw
ring.
a bone in there. Does it need to go in? Is that one of yours?
No.
Rhiannon just looks very overcome and is just kind of like, this is. Well, I look forward to spending each day with you after tonight. Just ignoring the judgment from the other half of the party, like, excuse. And she just kind of leans in and gives him a kiss. It's just like, I will treasure these.
You can do whatever you'd like with them. And
Keep them, obviously.
all right.
I just absolutely love Abigail sitting there just being like, I guess they're perfect for each other.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say
Nature witches are freaks, man. They're weird
She-
little freaks.
she leans over to Octavia and she just says quietly, statistically, there's exactly one person in the world who would be into this, and I guess somehow he found her.
Aren't we making yours right now out of thin air, basically?
Nah,
Dragging
Meh?
him back from hell.
What's happening? I don't understand any of you.
feelings are very complicated, Octavia.
Just go to
Telling me?
confession.
You'll understand when you're older.
Don't go to confession at the Infernal Church, though. Oh, Serena's just gonna close the box. Just very impressed by how much he fit in that small little wooden box.
It's not tiny. It's not a matchbox.
Okay, I was thinking like it was a small little box, just like it's like a Mary Poppins bag. And just very gently set it aside so it is not at risk of anything with the ritual. And I guess just very gently draw the sigils and the markings on Carmen and guide him where to stand for it. And try to hide how nervous she is because she's very afraid. JD, what happens if I fuck this up? What if the dice don't like me, huh?
Don't worry about it.
I want to bargain,
Bonamest.
okay? If the dice don't like me, I'm
Bonamest.
gonna bargain with you. Okay. What am I?
Bonamest?
Am I making a series of rolls for this, or is it just one straight up roll?
We'll be talking about that in a second.
Oh.
Before we get there, though, I'm just curious, how close is Abigail to Carmen?
I think fairly close. She's kind of just like, actually, I think she would be standing kind of close to Octavia just so she can like give commentary. Like, I feel like Octavia is facing the wall because Carmen is in some state of undress. And so she's just kind of standing
Absolutely.
there.
Just in trousers or whatever.
Just standing there next to Octavia with like one eyebrow raised, just like making offhanded comments.
I think too, actually, since this is the first time Carmen's been undressed in front of a bunch
Anyone?
of people. I think you can see clearly now the pieces of him that don't belong to him. So you can see clearly his fingers are like a different shade, different skin. I think a piece of his leg, calf down, one of his legs. And then there is a piece of his upper arm as well as like just general patches of skin that have been like planted over that clearly are like a darker gray color.
And Abigail, as you're keeping an eye on Carmen and Rhiannon as they're preparing, You do notice that the eye that is not Carmen's keeps moving towards you on its own accord.
I think she will stop talking and smile at it.
And that doesn't change the fact that that eye is fixed on you, but you do get a sense of a breath being released. And Carmen, you can feel that Damien is very, very scared.
I think Carmen does what he has done kind of privately when it's just the two of them, which is he wraps his arms around his chest almost to hold his brother, and just quietly is saying, uh, we'll be all right one way or the other. We come out of this together, or we don't come out. Either way, we'll be in the same place. We can be together. I know you're scared. I'm out of my mind right now. But you know it must be done for both our sakes. You deserve a full life, and I deserve to have my brother.
And Damien doesn't say anything. It seems like that moment of wrestling back control from you to talk with Abigail back at the Deloso estate was the last he really could communicate clearly in these moments. But you know that he's heard your words, and you feel him reaching back to you. And you feel a wordless promise that he's going to protect you, whatever it takes.
We're ready.
And so, Carmen, the remains have been placed out. You, Rhiannon, would have already instructed you to lay down. Everything is marked and prepared. And Rhiannon, I would like you to roll with dark.
How many times am I rolling with dark?
Don't worry about it.
It's my best stat. Okay. It's a 10. So it's just, oh my god.
And so you begin the ritual. And what is hard here is that this is a mixture of magic that you are very familiar with and magic that you are not. Because he was not pieced together by nature magic. But you are also restoring the natural order by doing this. And so you see the sigils begin to light up. And around the two of you, not fully obscuring, but partially obscuring what is happening from the others, a wall of fog starts to lift up. And you start to see the stitches that hold Carmen's body to the body of his brother start to unravel.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt, Carmen. It is unsettling. It is the feeling of being unmade, but it is not painful.
I think while that is happening, Abigail will say very quietly, so that probably only Octavia can hear. Until it burns.
I think Octavia turns around at this to sort of just gaze into the fog.
Abigail, I would like you to roll with.
Mm.
I'm going to say in this instance, I would like you to roll with hot.
It's like, don't say dark. Don't say dark. um, an 11.
Hey,
Oh my
come
goodness.
on, dice.
And so, Abigail, I don't necessarily think you fully intend for this to happen as you say that. But as your whispered words are spoken, the sigils that Rhiannon made glow red hot. It again does not hurt you, Carmen.
What a lovely day!
And we got Raiders at this amazing
Hey.
pivotal moment.
Oh,
my
no.
God.
Oh
Actual,
boy, welcome.
actually so
Welcome.
pivotal.
My goodness.
Doing a fun little weird resurrection ritual.
Yeah,
Everything's
we
normal
fine.
one, actually.
We're
Having
just
an absolute
separating
normal one.
two people into two bodies. It's fine.
It's totally fine.
Fine.
Please. Yes.
So yes, welcome as everyone goes through this very stressful ritual together.
Do you want me to do the thing real quick?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
The thing. Hey, hello, welcome everybody. If you've not caught us before, we are live from the apocalypse. We
What
play
day?
tabletop roleplay games to raise money for nonprofits and aid organizations, and we're currently raising money for the Rainbow Railroad, which is a fantastic nonprofit that seeks to get trans and queer people to safe places if they are not already in them, whether that be a different country or state or just region. They do really important work. Welcome everybody. Drop a follow if you want. Thanks so much for stopping by. We're going to get right back into the action.
And this is why I am always grateful to have Will here, so he can remind me of that when I am in the middle of running an intense ritual. And so at this time, we have both the nature magic from Rhiannon and the infernal magic from Abigail working together to continue to separate these pieces and working to return Carmen and Damien to who they are and who they should be, and not have them physically entwined anymore. Rhiannon, I need you to roll with dark.
That's a 6. No, can you fuck me up instead?
Hold on,
Can you
hold
fuck
on.
me up instead?
I have a thing for this, actually, that I was holding off on.
Oh, hey, I get to level up. This is not how I wanted to do it, though.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
I have one string on Rhiannon. That's a thing we can do with strings, right?
I'll allow you to use that string to bump it up to a mixed success.
I'll take it.
Look,
That is all I wanted.
if I could stack onto that, JD,
Oh.
I have a string on Carmen.
You
Could
two
I
strings
tug on
me.
that to
Would that still
increase
be a
it further?
mixed success, though? Because I would still
It'll
only get
still
it to
be a
8.
mixed success, so you may want to hold on to
You
that.
might want to save it in
JT.
case I fuck up
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
I have strings on Carmen and Damien.
Hey! Backup plans. What happens to me on a mix?
We could do mixed, though.
I will allow you to burn those strings to add to the success pool
All of them?
if you're willing to burn all of them.
Now? Because I thought we had more of the ritual to do.
The ritual isn't finished, so it is up to you.
I think this is a very... I don't know about Octavia. If Octavia doesn't want to, that's totally fine. But I think for Abigail, there's a moment where she is watching this and she is, whether she realizes or not, her inherent sort of infernal magic is entering part of the ritual. And she starts letting these connections in her mind, these like sort of strings, literal strings to other people, this sort of just web that she has in her mind. And she just starts letting them slip away. She starts letting people go to focus and fuel the ritual.
How many strings in total, Abigail?
3. Rhiannon, Carmen, and Damien.
So bring it up to a 9.
10 is a total success, right?
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, so Octavia doesn't know what's happening. I think she understands that something is different about this, like something has changed between the last few seconds, and rather than like that web of people that Abigail's connected to, Octavia's looking for promises that were made between people, and is looking to help those promises be fulfilled. And obviously Carmen has a number of promises to Rhiannon, and so she's just I think probably just pulling on that string and attempting to keep that thread strung so he can keep his promise to her.
And for you, Rhiannon, there is a moment where you feel your magic slip. You already knew you were in over your head, but this is falling out of your control faster than you would have expected. And you are seeing each of the bodies start to come together. And there's a moment where it almost seems like they're going to fall apart. But then Abigail's infernal magic and Octavia's fairy magic come in to the ritual circle. And you feel both of them there with you, whether they intended it or not. And the others cannot clearly see this beyond the fog that is obscuring what is happening within the ritual. But Damien and Carmen's bodies are both there and both separate and both whole, even though moments ago much was only bone. And I need you to roll with dark
Okay.
once more.
Come on. Best step.
Gods above. Don't say it.
Say
Another
it.
6.
It's okay. It's okay.
I have strings. I have strings.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You know,
Don't worry about
I don't
it.
ever believe you when you say don't worry. It's fine. It's okay. Why no? This is my best.
The
This
dice
is not how I wanted to level up. This is
The
not
dice
it.
are telling a story. The dice are absolutely telling a story. And so you have reached the most difficult part. The part where you need to pull Damien from Carmen's body and bring him to his own. And you realize in that moment that you are not equipped for this. That your magic has come so far and the help of your friends has gotten you to this point. But this is a job that needs to be completed with almost surgical precision. This only could have been done by someone who was already a master at their craft. And you are very skilled, but this is not your realm. And for you, Carmen, time stops. You can feel that things have gone wrong. And you can feel Damien saying, "It's okay, Carmen. It's okay." And then you are back in a very familiar place. It's like you blinked. And one moment you were in the Carewood estate in the backyard, surrounded by Rhiannon and Abigail and Octavia. Now you're back at a location you were just at earlier this evening, a place where you have woken up many times, right beside your brother's grave. Except that this time, you know he's in there and that all of him is in there. You don't feel him there at all.
I think Carmen starts digging. Almost without thinking. Trying to piece together what is actually going on. And that logically, what he was feeling before was just a dream. And that now he's collecting the bones, the box from the grave, and that the ritual hasn't even started yet. And that they're all waiting for him at the garden. And he just needs to grab this. He just needs to grab Damien and then go. And so I think he just starts frantically digging.
And as you are there and digging, feeling the earth beneath your fingers, finding yourself feeling increasingly desperate because even though there's that part of you that is convinced that was the dream and this is reality, you can't feel Damien. And that has never happened since you awoke. You hear someone clear their throat.
I think he turns around and almost instinctively says, Damien, the ritual worked.
And instead of your brother, you see the same priest that you saw that second day of the season. The young one with the dark tousled hair. At that time, he'd looked awkward and uncomfortable, having surprised you and having been surprised to find you there. But right now, he's just leaning against the low gate around Damien's grave, watching you.
Why are you just standing there? I need help. I need to dig up this grave. Do you have any shovels? You're a priest, you work here, right?
He shakes his head and says, "You're not going to find what you're looking for in there."
I know who's in here. I don't know what you're talking about. I just need to get his bones. If I can just get his bones, then everything will be fine. We'll go to the ritual and everything will be fine.
You've already done the ritual, and it failed.
No, that's impossible. If the ritual failed, then I wouldn't be here either.
You're here because there's still a chance. Because there's a choice.
Choice for what?
A choice that does not end in this. And he gestures towards Damien's grave. A chance for both of you to be there and whole again. But only if you're willing.
Willing for what?
Willing to make a deal, of course.
And I think at this point, Carmen looks at the dirt on his hands and looks at Damien's grave and kind of sits with himself and tries just one last time to see if Damien is there, to see if it's really this guy's just pulling his leg. I don't know, just angry that he snapped at him the first time that they met. And when he doesn't feel his brother there, he's on his knees and he kind of like wipes the the dirt from his hands on his legs and he says, "What kind of deal?"
You know, when we first met, I asked you what was going on, and you said it was none of my business, but I knew it would be my business one of these days. I saw where this was heading.
Isn't dying a part of everyone's business?
It is. Though you have not been fully alive for a while now. Neither has your brother.
Who are you?
Given the company you keep, I thought you would have figured that out by now.
I've been a little bit busy. Do I know you? It's hard to see under the hood.
You don't know me, but I think we're going to have quite the long, fulfilling relationship. For now,
I
though, you
think
can call me Father Adams.
I think Carmen, at this point, slowly stands and walks over to him and says, Father Adams, my name is Carmen. What can I do for you?
And he says, for now, it's what I can do for you. I can bring you and your brother back. But there will come a time when I ask of something from you.
It's funny. I've seen this in other people before. I always thought it was so foolish of them to accept. Who would make a deal like this? Such open ended demands. I suppose I shouldn't judge people, should I? You can bring us back. You can bring my brother back.
I can.
Complete. Whole.
Complete and whole.
No need for a hunger of souls.
I can bring your brother back exactly as he was.
Then whatever is that you demand of me later, I to promise I intend to keep.
He reaches out a hand to you and says, there's no intent to keep. If we make this deal, you don't have a choice.
I don't have one now. And then he shakes his hand.
And so for Rhiannon, you felt that moment.
I could have burned a string to make it a mix, JD. You didn't let me.
I did not. It's
You
true.
let everyone else but me. This
It's
is
true.
a personal attack. This is why I don't trust you in games.
This is why you love me. This is why you married me. So, Rhiannon, you feel the magic starting to fall apart, and you know you can't hold it. You know Abigail can't hold it. You know that Octavia can't hold it.
She's still trying to hold it. She's not gonna stop or give up. Give me a point of harm if you want. Fuck it. She's not letting go of that spell.
And you don't. You keep it going, but you know it's not going to be enough. And that's why it's so surprising that you and Abigail and Octavia, I mean, all of you feel this. It's starting to shatter. And then it doesn't. It freezes. And Abigail, you can feel those strings of infernal magic working their way in, helping to pull apart Damien and Carmen and settle them each into their respective bodies. And it is a lot of magic. It is more than you possess.
I think it's too little too late, but she pours her own power back into her voice and says, not necessarily to anyone, but Damien, if he can hear her, she doesn't know. Come back to me.
And that, Abigail, you're the only one who fully feels that, but that, as much as the deal that Carmen made, is what allows Damien to come back fully human. You know that, honestly, for both of them, their bodies should still be in pieces. They should both effectively be ghouls. And Damien certainly should not lose that hunger that he has felt and his need to be complete, even though he's back in his body. What that would do to Carmen, you're not quite sure, but you can feel Damien exactly as you remember him. Not as that hunger and void and desperate need, but as the young man you knew. And Carmen, similarly, as your body starts to heal, it is no longer pieced together. It is whole in a way it hasn't been since the day you and your brother were murdered. And the fog starts to dissipate and settle, leaving just Carmen and Damien laying there.
I think when Rhiannon had felt the spell falling apart and she'd been wildly grabbing and pulling at the magic to stay together, she'd just been like sweating, just soaked, and just actively, like, as she felt it shattering, she was just openly sobbing, but still just pulling on the threads. And so the fact that everything came about right is very, she is very thrown and she is very scared because she knows she didn't do this. So something else happened. But she is just basically flinging herself on Carmen and is just like stroking his hair and patting his cheeks and Carmen, Carmen, wake up, Carmen, wake up, wake up, wake up, please wake up, please wake up.
Do I? I don't know.
You
I'm
do.
gonna fight you. Fight you. I know you're in the next room.
You do, Carmen. I mean, you similarly like feel whole. You are not in any pain, and you can sense that your brother is right there. Like, you know he is not gone, even if you're not looking at him yet.
I think Carmen opens his eyes and sees Rhiannon and has again that moment of like quick panic because he doesn't feel his brother anymore, not the way he used to. And does like a quick glance over and sees Damien in his full form. And I think he turns back to Rhiannon and just says, "It's done. It's
What
done.
happened?
We can
What?
breathe."
No, what happened? It wasn't me. I'm so sorry. It fell apart, but then something happened. What
And
happened?
I think Carmen just kisses her.
She's crying. I mean, she kisses you back, but she's still like actively crying and is just when he pulls back, she's just like, "But what happened? What happened?"
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It does
It
matter.
worked.
Whose magic made it work? Because it wasn't mine.
You did enough. You did everything.
I didn't, and I'm so sorry.
What are you sorry for?
I don't know
I'm
what's
right
going
here.
to happen. I know, and I'm so glad you're both here, but what does this mean? Because it wasn't me.
I think if Abigail is moving over towards Damien, and she will stop next to them and just put her hands on Rhiannon's shoulders and like give her a very gentle kiss on the head. And will say, "It's enough. For today, it's enough."
For today.
You were incredible. I could feel it. It was beautiful.
And Rhiannon wants to continue to protest because she knows she fucked it up. But instead, she just kind of throws her arms around Carmen and just sobs on his shoulder. Because, like, she knows something is going to happen because of this. And she's terrified.
And I think Carmen just holds her and just is like consistently whispering, "It's all right. It's going to be okay. You were wonderful. You did so well. I'm so proud.
She cries harder because
Thank you."
she is not used to getting that type of praise when she fucks up. So she just cries harder because I fucked it up for you, but you're still being so gentle and kind, and just keeps sobbing. And she does try to eventually pull it together because she's like, "You need to see your brother. You need to see Damien. Just, I'll be fine. Go see your brother." Just
Thank you.
Abigail will offer Damien a hand up.
Damien is looking very disoriented. He's staring down at his hands, moving them, clearly not used to being in his own body. Like, even his movements match Carmen's stature, not his own. And it takes him a moment to realize that Abigail is there. And then he slowly reaches out to take that offered hand.
You never could see me when I was right in front of you.
There was a time where I was scared to see you. Are you okay?
I'm fine. We should talk. But you should see your brother first.
And he squeezes your hand and says, until the world burns.
Until it burns.
And then he pauses and looks at you, Abigail, and says, that was our phrase. Is it still what you want?
She reaches out, and she puts a hand on his chest and says, we'll talk.
And he covers your hand with his own, and it is as much to touch you as it is to feel his own heartbeat beneath. And then he releases you and says, we'll talk soon. And steps over to Carmen.
Abigail will go stand next to Octavia.
I think Octavia's probably just begun to make her way back to the house. Because this is a reunion of 4 people who she has no business seeing.
I think Abigail's going to run to catch up with Octavia.
Poor Octavia. Rhiannon will she won't go in the house, but she's gonna step a respectful distance away so that they can have their reunion and scoop up the box Carmen gave her.
And Damien kneels down beside Carmen and says, it's good to see you, little brother.
It's good to see you too. It's good to hear your voice. And I think Carmen just kind of like hugs him.
And he just wraps his arms around you and just quietly asks, are you okay?
I'll be fine. The most important thing is that you're here. Rightfully so.
No, the most important thing is that we're both here.
Always thinking about others.
You're never thinking enough about yourself.
It's strange. You being there and me being here. It was nice what we had. But I'm glad that you are able to be your own person again. I don't think I would change that. I know it was painful for you. It was painful for me.
No,
But
I
I still had you
understand what
guiding
you're
me.
saying. I understand what you're saying, Carmen. It It's strange to feel this distant.
I don't mind it though. Now you don't have to go around eating peasant souls, so. Or, randomly attacking people.
And Damien shudders a bit at the mention of that and says, "No, I suppose you're right. That does not seem to be something I need anymore."
Is there something you've missed?
I've missed a lot of things.
Well, right now, we can at least get you some food, real food. Is there something you want? Anything? I'm not a chef at all, but I can try to make you something. Or, I don't know.
Some tea would be lovely.
You could have said anything. This was your one chance. I would have made you lamb stew if you wanted, but no, tea is what you chose. All right, brother. Tea it is.
Carmen, I remember your ability or lack thereof to cook. I do not want to start with food poisoning.
You don't know. Well, I guess you do know. You were there. So, all right. That's fair.
I was.
I will try not to burn your tea.
I have faith in you. And so the four of you, five of you.
Can I, real
Yeah,
quick, as we're making our way back to the house, I think Abigail will put an arm around Octavia's shoulders. Say, so, Octavia, have you heard of collectivism? This monarchy thing is so last season.
First, she immediately tenses up when you put your arm around her. I haven't heard of that. I am more focused on winning the fight right now than what comes after.
I'll tell you all about it. Don't worry.
Okay. Shouldn't you be interacting with the other one?
Eventually. Let him be happy for now.
He seemed pretty happy when you were there. I don't know how your absence is improving that.
You'll understand when you're older.
You keep saying that. I don't know that I will.
Maybe not.
I
Go ahead, Octavia.
I didn't want to bring it up in front of the others. That wasn't supposed to work, was it?
There are many things in this world, and they are powerful and inscrutable. And for some reason, they are obsessed with us.
What do you mean by us?
People.
I see. Okay.
But a win is a win.
That's an interesting sentiment, but I have to disagree. I don't know what happened, and I fear that perhaps there will come a time when a win isn't a win anymore.
Almost assuredly. But that is for another day. Today it's enough.
And today it's enough.
So collectivism is when the power
I
is in the
don't
hands.
know. That's go be with the other one. Please. Too much thinking for one night.
Thank you for the follow, first of all.
Mhm.
And I think while they were talking, Rhiannon had stepped aside for a moment and gone to her father's office. With all the papers Octavia has organized, and just kind of stands there for a moment to just kind of collect herself. And she catches sight of her face in a mirror there. And she doesn't see herself as she is now. She flashes back to that first week when her father had locked her in her room and had hexed her to go without sleep for 10 days. And the only way she could sleep was to hex herself. And in this moment, she sees herself as she was then, just shadows under the eyes, just pale as like ghost pale, just hair a mess. And she just hears her father's voice and that last word he said, ungrateful. And then she just looks away and takes his portrait off the wall and shoves it into the fireplace. And just breathes and says, just for tonight, just for tonight. We'll fix it. We'll fix it tomorrow. And then she goes out to rejoin the others.
Before you go to rejoin the others, Rhiannon, there's a moment, it's after you remove the portrait and can no longer see it, that you realize something. You realize that even though you were not successful in the way you wanted to be in this ritual, you wielded more magic tonight than your father ever did in his entire life. And you held that spell even as it tried to fall apart and shatter. And well, you know that your energy was not what completed it. You also know that if you had let it go, nothing would have kept it together. And that required strength that you didn't know until that moment that you had.
She kind of comes to that realization as she's watching the painting burn and just kind of chokes on a laugh and is just like, right, just take a small win. If I could hold on that long, and it stands to reason with some more practice, I can make sure nothing bad comes out of this. I won't let it shatter again.
And it is in the days that follow that several things happen. Abigail, you receive a package a few days later, and in it is a small metal box. Etched in sigils. You know that just your touch will open it. And there is a letter with it from Abraham that is short and to the point and says, "This is what you asked for. It is yours to choose what you do next. I will be here if you need me."
She sets it on her desk, but she doesn't open it yet because she still needs to talk to Damien. And she needs to be strong for that.
I think that is then a perfect scene to transition to. And so Damien has been trying to figure out what life apart from Carmen looks like, and has settled into one of the spare rooms in the Carewood estate, with Rhiannon's permission, of course. And that is likely where Abigail finds him.
Abigail would have had him meet her at the garden, the hedge maze with the roses.
And he would have arrived at the appointed time, looking much the way he used to, clothing, style, and all.
Independence suits you.
Feels strange, if I'm honest.
You are, aren't you? Honest. Even when you shouldn't have been. When you're promised to someone else.
And he struggles to find the words and says, "That feels like a lifetime ago."
I suppose it was. I thought for so long, and I never told anyone about this, of course, because it felt silly, but for so long I thought I found someone and fell in love with them, really, truly fell in love with them, that it would fix me. Because that's what happens in the stories.
But that's not how it works in real life.
No. I can't. I can't know. I can't know if I loved you or not. But what I was looking for, I think, what I need to fall in love with is me.
And you can see the emotions running across his face. Unlike you, there is not any trouble with tears welling up, and yet he looks sad, but it's an understanding sadness. And he says, "Then that is all I want for you, Abigail."
Thank you for understanding.
I do not want to be presumptuous, and I do not want to ask for anything that you feel uncomfortable with, but I would like it if, well, I'm being honest. There's that honesty again. I'm being honest while we're both figuring out who we are and what we need. I would like for us not to be strangers in each other's lives.
She laughs and puts a hand on his chest again and says, "Why don't you write me a letter?"
And that is the perfect cutaway on that scene. Octavia, as we get to the final shot of this season, you and only you are summoned to meet with the regents. Julius meets you at the palace gates, and his expression is completely neutral.
I have to say I'm a little hurt, Julius. Completely neutral upon seeing me?
Well, Lady Frostpin, it is important that we are both considering that this is a very serious matter.
I know that, but We still got a few hundred feet before we're in the hall.
That we do. Do not mistake my neutrality for coldness. You, of all people, should know the difference.
Of course. I'm sorry for how difficult we were that day.
The three of you were a lot that day.
I was actually talking about before when it was four of us, but yeah, that too.
I mean, the first time you just destroyed part of the library, honestly, you were quite helpful that day. The second time was more concerning.
Yes, well, an unprecedented evening for an unprecedented season. Eh, Seneschal?
And he almost smiles and just says, "You're not wrong." And he escorts you into the throne room, where, once again, Queen Louis Montgomery and Sovereign Micah Bellamy are sitting, and their faces are similarly neutral.
Octavia has had new clothes made up, pants and a suit jacket, pretty much, that sort of give her a more uh, show off her frame more because she's been training over the past few days, and she didn't bring a change of clothes to the Carewood estate that night, so she kneels just as she had before.
And once again, Queen Louis gestures for you to stand and says, "Lady Frostpin, we have considered your request." And Octavia, I'm going to have you roll with dark real quick.
Oh no, I think that's the bad one. Oh, no, never mind. That's 6 and a 4 plus 1 is 11.
And so, Octavia, you hear the words that Queen Louis says, but they are almost immediately encompassed by what comes after. Because she looks at Micah. Micah nods. They both look back at you, and she says, "We've taken your request under consideration. We've considered the consequences that this will have for the entire supernatural community. And we have decided to back you." But in that moment, as you hear those words, the throne room around you fades out, and you find yourself in the middle of a battlefield. There is screaming. There are people lying all around you. You see fae, you see what might be mortals, you see vampires, and you see Queen Louis Montgomery holding a hell-forged sword in her hands. And that is where we are going to end this finale for Table 1.
Hey, come on now.
We can keep going.
We can keep going.
The hell?
I got
Sword?
letters
That's
to read, so
bad.
Yeah,
That's so
dude, we got
hot
more.
though, but that's so bad.
True, I didn't even read my.
Was she
I got
pointing
another
it at
letter.
me?
No, she was just raising it.
Oh,
On the
okay.
battlefield because we're at
Holy
war.
shit!
Monster Hearts is a really fun game, guys.
Oh, my God, this all
Just a fun little game. Just a fun
When
little
is
game.
season 2?
remember when this was supposed to be a romance series?
I mean, it still is.
Listen, that was not on me. That was not on me.
JD,
You
you didn't let me
started
use my
killing parents.
strings.
Holy shit!
You have so much murder still to commit.
Whoa. We didn't start the
Jesus
killing
Christ.
parents
I'm gonna
nonsense.
kill
You
the
gave us
priest.
bad
Fuck the
parents.
church.
Yeah.
Fuck the church. The church is my enemy
We
now.
practically didn't have a choice.
Mhm.
But we had fun tonight, right, everyone?
Yeah,
We had a great
course.
time.
that was great.
Sure did.
Sure did.
Absolutely.
How are we
Winter
feeling
of
about-
War and Whimsy. Oh my god.
Okay,
So
Wait,
incredible.
that's actually beautiful.
That
That is beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Oh man.
We had a time together.
We had a
Uh,
time.
Oh boy.
Can we read our letters though?
Yes.
I've mostly
can be-
a little epilogue.
That can be our little epilogue.
Little role
okay.
Yay.
Mostly because also someone has been yelling at me to read a letter.
Read your letters, Carmen. I support this.
Oh, I have to go first?
You won?
You volunteered.
This is
I didn't get any
yeah,
fair
You
letters,
enough.
volunteered
so.
as tribute.
I have
I mean,
a
I
letter
could
to
go
read,
first
but
if
you
you want.
volunteered.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll read my letters. Okay. I have one letter. Well, I have two letters, but the first letter is a plain letter arrives for Carmen, accompanied by an ornate embossed card. The letter bears the de Villiers seal in black wax. The card sits in a dark blue envelope sealed with Fitz's personal seal in golden wax. And the letter says, to the esteemed Deloso brothers, by now you may already have heard the bloody news from the Moon Hollow Manor. I know I had promised to inform you when I had news of those who were responsible for your murder, but events forced my hand and I was required to act with all haste. Suffice it to say that with my father's death, one of those who was involved in the crime committed against you no longer walks among the living. I hope this brings you some amount of comfort. There are, however, others who were involved in this conspiracy, and I would see them brought to a similar justice. To that end, I hope you find the accompanying invitation of interest. Your friend, Fitz. And then there's an invitation. It is a lovely embossed card with gilt lettering and decorations. A flowing hand has written, Lord Fitzgerald de Villiers cordially invites you to a hunt at his manor. A series of dates are provided. At the end, there is a meal choice. There are two options. Connolly en flambe or Connolly bouillabaisse.
It's brilliant.
Damn, Fitz.
Incredible.
Oh, we're just doing cannibalism now?
Julia
Oh,
wanted that.
Julia
Julia
left.
went to bed.
We haven't done the cannibalism yet, so she can't be mad at us.
It's
Julia
true.
keeps leaving during cannibalism. Well, we kind
Yeah.
of did cannibalism.
That's
I
when
mean, bad.
yeah. Your dad was kind of eaten. Sorry.
Was
Those
that, I thought that
two
was
Not
just
sorry.
soul.
No, he was eaten.
Oh, okay.
It's a closed casket for sure.
She cremated him. He's dust. He
That's
don't get
true,
a
that's
grave.
No
That's true.
more.
Dust in the wind.
Do you want to go next, Abigail, or shall I?
Oh, were
Well,
those two
should I
letters?
do you well, this is a question. Do you want me to read the second letter? You know who you are.
Was that not the
You
second
can
letter?
read the second letter.
Oh.
Oh,
Seems like I didn't
okay,
write a
yeah.
letter.
Yeah. Let's have some spiciness.
Okay. So this is delivered prior to the ceremony
Mm-hmm.
or the ritual. And it says, Wind delivers a letter to Carmen in the morning. It's sealed with a familiar carewood crest. The writing has lost its wild edge. Now back to Rhiannon's familiar neat cursive. Within the letter is a slender gold bracelet set with small emeralds. The clasps are designed to look like two bears with their paws together. And it says, "My beloved Carmen, these past few days have been terribly busy, yet you remain ever on my mind. I do not know how I've been fortunate enough to earn your devotion. It's an irreplaceable treasure. You are one of my liberators. My only regret is the gravity of what I asked you to do. Know that I will gladly clean the blood from your hands and stain myself with gore so that none can question your heart. I have what I need for the ritual to return your brother. We should meet soon to recover the rest of his remains. It will be grim work. I will be your support throughout. You may not be a witch, yet your enchantments on my heart are stronger than any summer storm. You are the cool earth in which my heart takes root. Let us entwine and learn what wild beauty we create together. I keep your wishing stone close as I await your next embrace. Until then, please accept this gift I've worked on for some time. While your fingers were cruelly stolen, your wrists are your own. Wear this bracelet, for my affections are yours. Ever yours, Rhiannon." And Carmen was wearing that, by the way.
I figured he was. Before
But
everything went to hell.
it was a
Of course it
Literally.
was.
secret little Easter egg there just for Rhiannon.
We love to see it.
I can do mine. Abigail received during the 2 days after her kidnapping a short letter that bears Fitz's seal, usual neat, precise handwriting. "Abigail, I do not have the words to apologize for the ordeal you underwent as a result of my family's actions. I can only hope that my father's death is enough to satisfy any debt of honor I might owe you. I also hope it may be of some comfort to you that he died as he lived, an overconfident bully so assured of his own superiority that he did not see the fatal blow until it was too late. I didn't expect surprise to be the last thing I ever saw in his eyes, but there it is. More the fool he. We spoke once of fathers and resolving certain outstanding debts. My own is resolved, but I renew my pledge that you need only call on me, and my sword or word is yours, as long as you remember my terms. As long as I hold my father's title, you may count the de Villiers family as your friend and ally. Your friend, Fitz."
And then in the intervening days post massacre night, a letter was delivered directly to Octavia, completely unaddressed, just a slip of paper. "Octavia, I wish you did not feel the need to put yourself at risk, but I understand why you deem it necessary. I know not what aid I can offer you in your endeavors, but if opportunity presents, know I will. I pray the crown sees your actions as the gift and necessity that they are. You've saved many lives already, and that is nothing to be taken lightly. I owe you my life, Octavia. I cannot promise much in the coming days, but know that if you ask, I will try. You've been a true friend. I have faith you will make just as good a queen. Good luck." And with the letter came two snowdrop flowers, which only Elise knows are Octavia's favorite flower. And when she went to visit the regents after they summoned her back, she was wearing them sewn into her coat.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh my god, is it season 2 yet?
So soon, so soon. And with that, are we ready to do outro since we have been
No,
up
but
way
sure.
later than
Do it.
expected?
No, yeah.
Let's do it.
Expect no fanfare from me.
Oh shit, yeah, it's me first. Hi, I've been Rhiannon. Yeah, we might murder a priest next season. We'll see what happens. But she got her boyfriend and his brother, and that's what matters. We're gonna count a win. We're gonna count a win, and we're gonna put my dice under a moon, because what the fuck was that? Thank you for hanging out. You can find me in the Live from the Apocalypse Discord under the handle Lavenza. Also lurk in the Guild Superior Discord, where I have another two-parter coming up in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. Other than that, I am in JD's psychological horror homebrew Redacted on Murder Island. So we're going to pick up that again at the end of the month, and a season of Secrets and Shadows 2 sometime in the future.
Two Secrets, Two Shadows.
Two Secrets, Two Shadows.
Secrets, Two Shadows.
Hell yes.
Hello, my name is Will. I have been Miss Abigail Donatelli, who didn't find what she set out to find, she did find self-worth and self-love and her soul. And that is the real love. And yeah, I don't know. I do a lot of shit. What is today? Friday, Sunday. You can come back at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be recording 2 new episodes of our Masks actual play podcast, Academy H. There are a bunch of episodes on your podcast platform of choice. Check it out. If you want to, we record it live on Twitch, and you can check it out. Sunday night, 6 p.m. I'll be there. JD will be there. Raph will be in chat. Steph will be in chat too, I assume.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Come on back for that. Then Tuesday, we have one of the final episodes of Missing Numbers, which is our Eldritch Horror Pokemon game that has been going almost as long as the channel has been around. It's coming to an end. It'll be very beautiful, very heartfelt. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday is the start of Shadows Between the Stacks. I'll let JD talk about that more. I'll be in that, though. You can check that out. I'll let JD talk about everything else, actually, because it's all him. So that's it for me, I guess. At a Will M Scream on all social media, whatever, if that's your thing. And that's all I got to say.
Hi, I'm JT. I'm at WeebG on Twitter. You can find me around an alarming number of tabletop discords now, LFTA included. And I have like one thing left this month on Lost Caravan. I'm running a triangle agency game for our resident little chaos gremlins that is looking to be quite fun. Otherwise, you're just going to have to guess. Come find me. I dare you.
Hello, I have been Raph and I have been Carmen. And no longer Damien. I always blank out at this part. Okay, no, focus. Okay, so I am also in, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm also in a JD psychological horror game, Redacted, where I play Sophia McAllister. I'm also in Will's D&D homebrew game. I play Max Miller, beefy and emotionally stunted man. And then I will be in some other stuff in the future. I'm just making I'm just making sure.
Cold iron?
Yeah, I was just making sure there wasn't anything more recent. Okay, yeah, no, I'll be in Cold Iron later in July. Come back for that. And who knows what else, so...
No, see, this is why it's nice to go last, because all of you have really said everything I need to say.
List your
That's
shit.
not true.
We need to count. You know how this goes by
You gotta
now.
do next Wednesday to at least
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
There isn't much, though, next Wednesday to Friday. That's what makes life easy, because
Whoa.
we've canceled
Right.
all of the games this week, so
Oh my
I am
God.
getting a rest. But
That's
yes, I will be
Sleep,
here
yes.
for Shadows Between the Stacks, which is our Call of Cthulhu Dark Academia game with 2 tables set 100 years apart. That will be starting Wednesday. I will be playing in Table 1. I will be running Table 2. Normally on Thursday, we'd have Redacted. We do not have it this week. And then we have Thy Kingdom. Well, we would normally have Thy Kingdom Come, our Urban Shadows Theocracy game on Friday. We are not having that this week, but we will have Table 2 with their finale of A Season of Secrets and Shadows.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm losing
Incredible.
my marbles.
Otherwise, you can find me for Class Reunion and Academy H, which have already been mentioned. I will also be in Cold Iron when that premieres next month. And you can find me with Tales from the Table Studios just about every Monday for SCP, or Crumbling Foundation. And then for the next 2 or 3 weeks with RPGs Uncovered for our demo play of Locus. That is all I'm doing currently. I will also, that is a lie, I will also be with Exquisite Corpse for their Pride festivities on the 23rd, where we will be having an Oops All Trans table, and we will be using the FIST system, which we recently used for Academy H, and it was a whole lot of fun, so I'm very excited for that. But that is all I have currently on my calendar for this month.
Incredible.
I'm going to be doing I'm going to be running the buy table on the 18th.
Yes.
I forgot about the gay thing I'm in.
Yeah.
On the 14th.
Oh,
All
look at
aces.
Hell yeah.
We love to see all of it.
Sure do. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here. We stayed up later than all of our friends, and there's no one to raid. So,
Incredible.
That means we
Easy,
win.
easy.
yep.
Win.
So there are social links in the chat. If you're not already following us, feel free to do that. If you want to know what we're up to, you can follow us. Mostly Twitter is where stuff gets updated, but we tweet about stuff a lot. Or you can join the Discord community, which is a great place full of great people, and we would love to have you be a part of that if you want to. If you're not already following the channel, go ahead and do that if you want to know when we go live. But otherwise, thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. This was Table 1 of a season of Secrets and Shadows. And
Yes.
I guess say goodnight, everybody.
Good night,
Good
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night.